9:15. So that means one thing. It means that since it is a Wall Pass Wednesday, it is time for Tyler to come right into the middle of this discussion.
It's like a
First,
Royal Rumble.
yeah, it is. So first and foremost, the important stuff. What's the mug and what's in it?
This morning it is. I'm having technical difficulties with a light that doesn't want to turn on. Make me pretty. Okay, there we go.
Soft lighting.
Yeah.
Put Vaseline in the lens like I do here.
No, it's the same cup. I'm repping like 3 weeks in a row now.
Well, I hope you've washed it in between visits.
Yeah, I have. I promise. Maybe consumed a little bit of harder liquid out of it than just coffee, but that's okay.
That's cleaning, dude. That's sanitizing. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, and it's a breakfast blend, so lots of caffeine.
Yes. And so, Tyler, we're getting into the discussion about where things will not be happening to kick things off in 2027. And
yeah.
It will not be happening here in the United States, as the United States has deferred, and they're going to focus on 2031 when it comes to the Women's World Cup, and we are opening kickoff has turned into kind of a deep dive about all of the different aspects of it and what we could be keeping an eye on with the United States and Mexico, what should be kept an eye on with U.S. and Mexico, public funding for stadia, how the other countries are lining up to do this kind of a thing. Can they afford it? What's the infrastructure? All these kinds of things. See what you walked into with the Wall Pass Wednesday Royal Rumble.
Let me go refill my cup real quick. Hang on. Yeah, I saw the press release, and I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to look at it from both sides. Like, selfishly, obviously, I want it to be in 2027 because I think it's they both kind of benefit each other, right? Like you have 2026, the hype is already there. Then that can carry over to 2027 if there is legitimately some reason that they think they can use the 4 years and make it that much better. Okay. Mm-hmm. I wish there was like a track record of that, but I mean, as long as they get it, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, if you get it, you have a responsibility to make it the best possible event that you can. And you have the Men's World Cup coming here in 2026. We know the types of facilities that are going to be in play. Maybe you add one or two different ones between the World Cup in 2026 and then the women in 2031. But there are a lot of other things I would like to see improved as well. I mean, that's like getting into a different topic, but like,
so Wall Pass Wednesday, brother. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Transportation. I mean, not just in Atlanta.
You want an infrastructure issue? Come on.
Just a little bit. I would like to be able to take a train somewhere like you can in other countries and, not pay an arm and a leg and, just take all advantage of this massive country that we have for the reason that other countries, maybe it's not the reason that they have these infrastructures. Let's be honest. They don't have, great train systems for soccer, but it's a byproduct of being in a smaller country. Put all the effort into the infrastructure, put all the effort into just, again, making it the best possible event that you can.
The most excellent Women's World Cup ever.
But
I think the first step would be for us to go back in time and beat Henry Ford to death with a kendo stick and a bunch of people like him and try and invest in a rail in the 20s as opposed to cars. But
yeah,
it's kind of, I don't have the time machine up and running right now. I'm waiting for a new compressor.
If you get it, let me know because
I will.
We're also
going to go. Look, man, I got a whole list of things. Like, we're going to go back. We're also going to muzzle Kyle Shanahan. Like, I got a whole list of things I got lined up. Mark Wohlers is not going to throw sliders to Jim Lawrence. We're gonna change so much history.
I like it because it's gonna be for the best. I sit in Henry County traffic every day, which is why it's easy for me to go on a rant about transportation. And
my friend,
yeah, it's just I agree with you. Like, Henry Ford might be Satan, actually.
I've always, because so I spent 10 years working in traffic in this city. I'm always fascinated I was always fascinated watching, why is it that 75 through Henry County gets all of the spectacular crashes and jackknife tractor trailers, and we get one every now and then in like the North Metro or like downtown. But like, if I want to see some spectacular shit, I go to Henry County.
We have the intersection merge, I guess is really what it is, between 75 and 675
Sure.
is
That's Mad Max.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've seen tractor trailers full of chicken end up down there, and that smells wonderful. We've seen tractor trailers full of bourbon, which is much better.
But it spilled it though, so I mean,
well, it did. But there was some that
some survived.
made the trip.
Okay.
The good thing about that is, they have to get rid of that stuff anyway. So when it goes to the tow yard, a lot of times, eventually, once they get all the proceedings out of the way, they just start giving it out, which is really cool.
There you go.
So,
but yeah, the whole notion is to avoid having a most exceptional Women's World Cup in the United States of America, and if you look at it, so Abby makes the point.
John, I like that you're still salty that they called the Atlanta Olympics the most exceptional.
Oh, dude. I mean, that's quoting Jim Rome, who referred to the then head of the IOC as Juan Antonio Samersex. When you have somebody like that, look, I go back to 1989, and they were making the announcement. You know how everybody at Underground Atlanta, they're hanging out there at an ungodly early hour, and you get the announcement, and to the city of Atlanta, yay, and the woman I was dating at the time woke me up, and I didn't care. I thought it was going to go to Athens because of the anniversary and all that kind of stuff. I thought, I don't know, have some piece of history attached to your announcements. But she calls me, she wakes me up, and she goes, "It's Atlanta, it's Atlanta." I go, "Great, click," and I, and so yeah, should have been Athens. Hung up the phone, and from there, I mean, there are ways to cover the event, but you knew what it was at the time, and Jarrett, you discussed what DISCUSSED, not DISGUST, but you talked about early on here in the show what it's going to and what it is, and it's not just the 5-ring circus. It's Formula One. It's pick a big ticket item, and it's always going to be leaning this way. World Cups and what have you. It is going to be countries of a certain political ilk, plus those countries that will sit there and say, yeah, we can afford it through commercial means. It's not going to be those cute places anymore. And that's just how that's how it's going to be. And I think that if you were the United States in this particular case with 27, I think that probably U.S. Soccer looked at it at the end of the train, because, I mean, think about what it's going to be like here the next. That is not me sending that message.
It was well timed, though.
It was.
I don't know what you're doing, but
round
was well
two.
timed.
Yeah, round two. You end up with what's happening this year with Copa America and the Olympics in 24. You have the Club World Cup coming in 25. You have the World Cup coming in 26. Women's World Cup coming in 27. And you run the risk from a commercial standpoint. I'm not even talking infrastructure and stadia, which we know would sit there. You give enough runway and the United States would be like, dang, we're good. But the idea that you have the Women's World Cup, say, in 27, and you're at the end of this commercial train. You're the caboose. And you run the risk of having all of these sponsors and all these commercial entities sitting there going, well, we invested in the Men's World Cup in 26. We just don't, we can't take the level of investment we had there and spend it again the next year. So I can see from a commercial standpoint and from an advertising standpoint and from a sponsorship standpoint, the U.S. and Mexico sitting like, yo, let's take a cycle. We'll take time to analyze what we need to do to be successful in 2031, in quotation marks. We'll let 2027 be 2027. So that way you're not running up against that wall where everybody's sitting there saying, yeah, come on and sponsor us. And everybody's going, well, I don't know, man. We really spent a lot of money in 26. And give it the runway that you need to help things out financially, sponsorship-wise, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm looking at it strictly from that perspective. not just the fact that, oh, I don't know, it would be 3 years from now. 3 years. Legitimately. You have the 5-ring circus sit there and they give 8 years notice. You have, other World Cup competitions, you're like 5-6 years out, like Abby was saying. Right now, you still have not announced 3 years away where your Women's World Cup's going to be in 27. That, to me, to your point, Jarrett, shows really, Tyler, where I think that FIFA is sometimes. It's just like, these entities sit there and it's like, yeah, we're with you. We're going to do everything for the growth of the game. And then 3 years out, you still haven't told folks where you're going to be in 27. I mean, come the blank on.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, in the press release, U.S. Soccer was like, we want it to be essentially equitable. Like, we want it to have as much put into it as the Men's World Cup, which, like I said, you owe it to that entire sport, right? And by that sport, I mean the women's side of the game. Like, they need to be on equal footing. You need to be, because you look at, God, Barcelona and what those women are doing, filling out their stadium on a weekly basis. Like, the game is growing immensely. Look at the NWSL here. There's so many aspects of this that are growing rapidly. I mean, when I was with Jason doing the fundraiser the other day at Sweet Auburn Barbecue, we got on a conversation a little bit about the women's game. And, from like a local coaching perspective, like, I see the tournaments that come out to some of these fields, and there are so many young girls playing, and it's such a great thing to see that it's blowing up the way that it does. But they have so many great role models to look up to. So, yeah, I mean, again, selfishly, I would like to see it in 2027. It's idiotic that FIFA hasn't said where it's going to be, because you have to have time. Like, politics, nothing happens in 3 years.
It's not I Dream of Jeannie, Gianni Infantino. Right. You don't just sit there and go, boing, and it happens. It doesn't
there's
work
no lamp,
this way.
No lamp to rub. So,
but of course, it's the rub of the commercial lamp. Everything will happen through sponsorships. Boing.
Yeah. Coca-Cola will come in and they'll just throw a whole bunch of money at something and make it work.
Sure. No planning there at all.
No, I just do it justice. That's all I care about. I mean, I can be patient, I guess, but also, I mean, to do it right, you need more than 3 years. Really.
It seems like
2.5 at this point.
I mean, and to Tyler's point, like, look, if you've never worked in events, that's cool, but 2.5 or 3 years is basically, it's nothing in terms of time, because different jobs require a different time scale. When you're talking about a global event like that, 2.5, 3 years is nothing. That's like an overnight almost.
Mm-hmm.
You need an extreme amount of time to be able to pull anything like this off. And it's not as much time as it feels like.
Mm-hmm. And that was the other thing that I wanted to, in addition to this road that we've gone down this morning, Tyler, I did want to talk about the Sunday set piece that you and Jason got to discuss about what's going on down there in the Southern Crescent. We'll get there eventually. It's just that this morning we ended up riffing about, infrastructure and planning and making sure that that you get to have the right devotion to a particular product. But yeah, how's that? You asked the folks in Lausanne, Switzerland. Yeah, how's that study about women's ACLs going? Beat 2, 3, 4, crickets, silence, what have you. And so, you look at all of these things, and as Jarrett says, it has the Irish goodbye. And well, at least he survived the first 15 minutes of the segment. It's just, I'm looking at it from, and Jason asked when the announcement, when we were at the groundbreaking of the Arthur M. Blank training ground, about, Jason asked about 2027, 2031. And Jason asked about 2031 at the time. U.S. Soccer is saying, yes, we're focused on 27. That's what you're supposed to say. But, in these ideas, it's like, look, 3 years, that ain't a whole lot, man. I mean, you got Major League Soccer, and they're looking at 2025's All-Star game going to Q2. And I mean, in an insular infrastructure like a league setup, you can do something like that. But with everything that's attached to a world event, I think that prudence here by U.S. Soccer will win the day. But I'm more concerned if it goes to Brazil. I want to know what the stadium setup is. I want to know about infrastructure, like we've been discussing. Is there going to be hot and cold running, hot and cold? These simple things. Transportation, infrastructure, all these things that we've been discussing. I think that U.S. Soccer made the right move when you think about it and you step back for half a second. You're like, yeah, 3 years, that ain't a whole lot of time. And once again, it shows, I think that the amount of respect for the women's game still has a large gap space when it comes to folks in Europe in their own office building with the shiny logo out front.
Yeah, because, I mean, how can you sit there and say you're taking it seriously when, like you said, the Olympics, you get, but is it 8 years? I was thinking it was more than 8, honestly.
I thought it was 8.
At least 8, right? So, I don't mean, at times it feels like we know where the Olympics in 2050 are going to be. It seems like they're way out there. But, yeah, they've got to do it justice. They have so many aspects of the game though that do need to catch up, and admittedly, like, so many are on the right path. But you mentioned that a second ago, like the injury situation. Like, how many times do you hear about that conversation and that debate in the men's game, and then when it comes to the women's game, it's thrown up almost as an afterthought? And then, not even to mention that, but just like from an, again, infrastructure standpoint, think about how long it takes to make sure you have the right kind of grass ready for a place like the Bends. That is not something that happens overnight. That is something that takes time. And, it's not like they just have one sheet of grass that they grow and it's perfect and they can grow it in a month and then lift it up and take it to the Bends. Like, they have, chunks of sod that they have to make sure are rooted the right way. And there's so many little things that go into it. And, that, not to say that is like a 3-year process, but that doesn't give you a whole lot of gap time, right? Like, if you have something go horribly wrong, because even with the most recent, with the She Believes Cup, it wasn't guaranteed where that grass was coming from. It wasn't that they have one partner and that partner is going to be the one, because, and I know this from chatting with US Soccer, you had instances where they actually had one partner that they were supposed to be getting the grass from, and the grass got ruined because of too much rain. So it's like these little things like that. You don't have a lot of leeway for error when you have it out 3 years. And that's a very, very extreme example. Like, I get it, it's just grass, but there's so many other things.
Well, you got to play on something, man.
Right. So, there are things to be discussed and figured out for sure. And 3 years is not really enough time to do it.
Tyler Pilgrim, at ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves, and the letter N, Spikes, hanging out with us as he traditionally does, 9:15 on Wall Pass Wednesdays, where, as you can tell, topics are not tied to just what's going on with Atlanta United and what's going on in Tyler's brain when it comes to Major League Soccer. I wanted to get into the Sunday set piece that you and Jason got the chance to talk about, and the growth of the sport on the Southern Crescent, and the flipping birds, as Jason calls Eagles Landing High School. They had a bit of a long night last night, losing to Midtown, and so Midtown makes it into the left-hand side semifinals in 5A on the boys' side, or on the boys' side, and so Midtown is going to be making their way in once again to the Final Four in their classification. And so it will be Midtown and McIntosh on Friday as a part of what's going on in the semis. And the way that things have grown there in the Southern Crescent, for someone who hasn't had the chance to go to the Southern Crescent, to check and see what's going on with the Georgia Revs and how they have just continued to increase their footprint as things have grown. Soccer in the high school sense on the Southern Crescent. For those, without giving away a whole lot, if there was anything that was left on the table, what was it like to be able to discuss what's going on there in the Southern Crescent with the growth of what's going on south of the perimeter on 285? What's it been like for you to see all of this grow, knowing that because of where you are geographically, folks may not necessarily get to see what's going on down there when it comes to growth?
Yeah, I think from maybe a pride perspective, you have a lot of folks down here who they have heard about the National Training Center, the U.S. Soccer Training Center. And when you start talking to them about it, maybe they don't know quite where it's at, but they heard, hey, it's coming to Atlanta. And then you tell them, hey, it's actually just outside Fayetteville, down here on the south side. They're like, oh, really? Like, that's amazing. But then at the same time, I've talked to 13-year-old kids that are like telling me all the details about it, and they're following this. Like, they're super excited about it. And it is, it's a sort of, I think, a pride aspect to say, hey, we actually have this thing happening on the south side. Like, that's just really neat, and not to mention just the south side, but Atlanta in general, but especially the fact that, you can be down here in a place that maybe hasn't gotten as much love in terms of infrastructure. We'll go back to the traffic thing.
Yeah.
But it's growing rapidly down here, and it was actually really cool being at Sweet Auburn Barbecue, because some of the folks that came out were actually parents of players that I've coached, or the players themselves that were out, and they've since gone and joined the Revolution. And it was kind of neat to see, like I've been doing it for a few seasons now, and just to be able to watch some of them grow and take what, I taught them and see them kind of develop into something even more. It's just really, really neat to see. But this mini pitch specifically, like, I've told the story, and if you listen to that or before, like when we did the Top Golf thing, this park that this mini pitch is going in is literally where I have some of my earliest memories. And I mean, I was literally playing baseball at 4 years old in this park. So to see it kind of come full circle now to the sport that I really love and like what my kids play. And that's not just a story that I could tell. There are thousands of people in Henry County and the surrounding area that could tell you the same story, because it's been there forever. And it's taken an unused piece of real estate, essentially what is up now a parking lot. It used to be a community pool, and turning it into something that's so great for the community. Like, it's in a residential area. So there are, I can't tell you how many thousands of people within walking distance of where this mini pitch is at. And that's just like a little bubble of what's happening with these mini pitches all over the state, because that's what they're there for. That's what they're there. They're there to grow the game. And yeah, it's a source of pride, I think, all encompassing, being able to say, hey, yeah, the U.S. Soccer Training Center, Henry County, we're getting this mini pitch. The Georgia Revolution's doing these great things. The great run organization. I mean, it's really fun to watch.
And part of what we have been able to do with our match days that we've done on the high school schedule, we've been really fortunate. And when Jason came up with the master grid, it was being able to go to Alexander out in Douglas County, go to Johnson, Gainesville, and see what's going on up there up at the Dungeon. Go to Perry for a playoff game. Go to Ellijay and see what's going on in Gilmer County and how things are growing there. Go to Calhoun on occasion. Go to Sonoraville and see what's going on there. I'm trying to look at my grid and see where else we've been. Villarica, North Oconee, Sequoia, Winder Barrow to catch up with the DOGGs. You go to Riverwood, and you go to all these different places, and you tell the stories about what's going on at Lincoln County and all of these different locales. And I think that it's fun to see the game expand. And frankly, I think we could make a case for a lot of those places that we visited to be a part of the GA100 and the mini pitch project, so folks can gravitate toward what's going on. And I think that the Southern Crescent, I think, is a microcosm of it. It might be the first one that has crossed over the finish line to sit there and say, okay, hey, look, we've got the National Training Center, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this. And I think that it can be an example just of what can be done if you continue to apply and not give up on something. I think that's probably the biggest point that I would make here.
Yeah, because they have put a ton of effort into making this happen. And, you name off all these cities and counties and places. And it's so interesting to me, because coaching down here, we typically travel to places like Thomaston, Pike County, Lamar County.
County's another one, Zebulon and Barnesville.
Yep.
They put deep playoff runs.
Yes. And Griffin, obviously Peachtree City. I mean, there's so many places, and there's so much talent, even in rec, that is like, just nobody would know about it. And I think this is kind of a step, maybe in a selfish manner, of now you help maybe the kid that, for whatever reason, whether it's paid, like a paywall type situation or whatever, where their parents can't get them into like do an academy, but there is a bigger possibility of them being seen for what they're doing and what they love and the talent that they have. Whereas before, I mean, the pipeline was you play, you go to maybe high school, you go to maybe college, depending, you get into an academy, great. But now there's, I think, going to be so much more attention, not just down here, but all over Metro Atlanta and Georgia in general, that I think it helps some of these kids who might not otherwise have that opportunity in terms of like financially to be able to go and do something that they really, really want to do. It doesn't have to be a dream that they have to give up on just because of money. And so it's just, I forget where I saw it, but it was I guess a study done that said that Georgia per capita puts out the most, like, I forget what quality athlete in the nation.
Best damn. There you go. That's your quality. Best damn. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. We'll quantify. That's perfect. The best damn athletes ever. But before now, we don't have that infrastructure like other countries have. And I'm so tired of using that word. I cannot believe I used it like 5 times this morning already. but
it takes on different forms, though. And
it does. It does. And this is a big step. And little things like the mini pitches are a big step because I told Jason this and everybody at the live show, you don't have, if you're living here, going back to the traffic, you don't have the ability to just walk to a soccer pitch. You don't have the ability to walk to somewhere where you can actually go kick a soccer ball and not worry about it ended up in the middle of an overturned tractor trailer like Jarrett was talking about earlier.
Game on. Maddie Cruz is in this morning, and Maddie has been dutifully listening to all of these conversations about best dam and infrastructure and weights and Olympics years and 5-ring circus years. I don't want to get us in trouble with the IOC.
Oops.
So all of this kind of stuff. Maddie, what is on your mind this morning here in hour number 1 on a Wall Pass Wednesday?
I don't know. Y'all were talking about the U.S. dropping the Women's World Cup, and I got upset, so I didn't want to chime in.
Why not? I mean, there's nothing wrong with chiming in about it.
Well, no, I'm just sad.
It's just dream deferred. It's not dream.
Yeah, well, see, I'm just upset because I had it perfect. You have the Men's World Cup, and then literally the next year the Women's. Done. Yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah.
And now that dream can't happen.
Well, no, like I said, it's just dream deferred, not dream denied. It's just.
But we could have had it back to back, John.
Yeah.
Back to back.
But if you all right, so I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be that guy for a second.
Are you gonna play devil's advocate?
Maybe not. It might be more like Bobby Axelrod. But all right. So let's think about it this way. If I'm coming to you in a meeting. If I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about, it's the money rules everything. So if I'm in this situation and if I drop a check on a table for $9 million or I drop a check on a table that's $29 million, what's the better of the two?
I get what you're saying.
A $9 million check or a $29 million check? What's the better of the two? I'm not saying that it for a double negative that my mother would kill me for. I'm not saying it doesn't suck that you don't go back to back to back to back here in a 4-year period. But 3 years to get everything squared away versus 7 where you can be the focus. You can have the spotlight shining on you and you alone instead of sitting there and trying to chase after a corporate sponsorship from insert drink here. And it ends up being, like RC Cola instead of Coca-Cola or it's Sundrop as opposed to Coca-Cola.
It's interesting because especially with the bid process of it.
Yeah.
With what we had going up into the Women's World Cup, the bidding process, we were likely going to be the ones who were going to be given it. It was a very high possibility. I'm saying, too, at least with the next World Cup, you don't have a for sure that you're not going to be the top runner-up. And so it's kind of like I get like planning it out, figuring it out.
I know England was also looking at 2031 as well. For the women's
and side. I mean, I'm just like, it's kind of one of those situations where it's like yeah, you're moving on to go and get better prepared and stuff. But what if another country comes in and sweeps it in and is like, hey, we got this planned out a little bit better.
Today, I'm an accountant. That's my Gianni Infantino impression.
That's my biggest concern, by the way, is like 2027 seemed a little bit more of a lock.
Mm-hmm.
You push it back to 2031, and there's no guarantee that you get it anyway. That's my only worry.
Oh, not if I had a Ticonderoga number 2 pencil, I would wave it in the air.
I'm knocking on wood, but I'm just saying.
If I'm corporate America, and I reach into my back pocket, and I grab this, and this is commonly referred to as a wallet for those of you who are looking on the TV side.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were holding.
You're about to open it the way so we could see your cards, and I was gonna say, guys, write it down.
No. Well, there's nothing in the bank account anyway, so it doesn't matter. All you would be doing is helping me if you were to dive into said account, because I could sit there and say, no, that was a fraudulent transaction. Put the money back. But no, if I'm corporate America, and being the be-all and end-all of everything when it comes to sponsorship dollars, and the countries that are attached to the organization in Switzerland that is in charge of the world competition that challenges the best in an expanded format with an expanded number of countries, I think there are only a few countries that can sit there and handle all of these countries, all of these dates, all of these stadia, have the television audience that you're looking for, and it's not going to be European, especially if the 3 countries get it in 27. You're not going to go Europe back to back. But if I'm corporate America, I sit there and I open up my wallet and sit there and go, well, I'd really like for it to be in the United States. I'd like for it to have that East Coast audience where I can get millions and gazillions of people there. I think that the corporate firepower of countries that are attached to the United States would probably swing it better than any other country that would be attached in 2031. That's just my gut feeling.
I totally agree with you, but
I was going to say, where's the conjunction in your sentence?
I can never account for the stupidity of human beings at times.
Yeah.
And that makes me nervous, because it's not as if FIFA is without fault when it comes to decision making.
What? FIFA?
It's my only worry.
That's kind of where my thing is I'm like, it's very uncertain now, because I feel like the 2027 bid was a very locked in type of thing. And now you push it back a little bit, and now it kind of seems a little bit uncertain, because we know things are crazy over at FIFA.
Yeah. It's the Gilbert Gottfried sketch. It's just the scene in Beverly Hills Cop. It's like he's got the one thing in the one hand, and it's like, and then it's like, what? But then I got something over here in this hand, and it's just then all of a sudden, it's like you focus on what's going on in this hand, and this hand is like, what's going on over here? I don't know what's going. One of those. But I understand the concerns, but we all know that. We look at it from the infrastructure standpoint. 3 years ain't going to cut it, especially if you're growing grass. And if grass ends up going kaput, then you need more than one particular location to find your grass, especially for your indoor venues. How many different venues in the United States have capacities that can fit the massive crowds that the folks in Switzerland would be looking for when it comes to all of the pretty pictures and all it's another packed venue. Hey, what's the capacity of it? 12? No. We can't have that. Look at 12 people watching a soccer. No, we can't. It's like 45, 50,000 people consistently. And I don't know. Maybe the final is at some stadium that's based here at SDH HQ that can seat 73,000, 7 miles that way, something like that. Because, hey, the National Training Center ain't going nowhere. It's going to be in the Southern for a while. That's a permanent thing. THANG. That is a permanent thing. That is not a permanent thing. It is a permanent thing. That is how emphasized that is.
Can I just, I got to say really quick. Yeah. I've said this to nobody, so you're the first one to hear this.
Wait. Hang on. If you're going to do this, we're going to do it this way. All right. Okay. Now say it.
All right. This acted as if I was going to bring up news. I'm not. This is my opinion. The renderings for the National Training Center.
Uh-huh.
The brick that they're using makes me feel as if I am back in elementary school and this place was built in the late 60s.
Okay.
So I know y'all were expecting maybe like a hotter take than that because it was built up, but I'm like, we're putting this like 50 million. I don't even know how much it is anymore.
11
whatever million training center, and
200.
using,
I thought. Yeah, isn't Arthur putting up 50 for 200?
Arthur put 50. That's right. Yeah.
Arthur put up 50 for 200. I
Yeah.
think.
Well, that 50 million could have gone to some better bricks. I'm just saying those bricks are ugly and I want nicer bricks. I want some like lighter tones. I want something that looks like it came out of HGTV. This looks like it came out of a caveman's backyard and I don't like it.
So what you're looking for, the folks from Magnolia, you're looking for Chip and Joanna to come in and model the whole thing and figure it out.
Yeah. All you gotta do is change the brick color. Everything else is great. Change the brick color. Make it, throw some white on there, make it look a little what's the word? Shabby chic.
Sure.
Is that the buzzword when we're talking about?
I'll take your word for it. The only buzzword I know is shiplap. So
Yeah, I was gonna say shiplap, but then that's not brick. So
no.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking for better design instead of the design flaws that are currently in the pictured representations of what's going on.
The brick color's got to change.
Okay, brick color's got to be a little more open and honest and welcoming, and it's lighter tones. I see.
It's like they made it out of Georgia clay.
Well, yeah. I mean, hello, where are you? Hello.
Which would be a cool flex if it was like if they were like, hey, we made this out of Georgia clay, and then my whole vibe would be different, but they didn't,
There is a poll out at the Scarves in Spikes 280 character app, and I wanted to discuss this as well because
I want the chops. You said chops. I want it. Do it.
And it is because Tommy has to fulfill a bet. And we will wrap up your time here with leaving the conversation involving Chicago and leading into Minnesota United. Tommy has to fulfill a bet. You have 4 options, and there's one option that I do not see in this list. The options are Mutton, Foo, Soul Patch, and the Stash. Obviously he could go either Soul Patch or Van Dyke or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Clean?
He's going to get there eventually.
Clean off.
So that's the thing. It's all coming off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but this is just
somewhat temperate where, they having all that on there, that's not beneficial to, making sure that your clothes aren't drenched.
He's going to be doing it live on the show.
Okay. Is this the lead or is this the tag on the show?
Well, this honestly, this may go throughout the entire show. We have Kendra Day St. Aubin coming on as well, so we're gonna have a chat with her. Okay. And I don't know how aware she is of this aspect of what's happening.
Probably should give her a bit of a heads up.
Yeah, I'm gonna let her know. But no, by the end of the show, he will be clean shaven. It's just what happens in between that we're worried about.
Okay. So we are heading toward the clean shavenness. It's just the idea of what the stage is before it goes all clean off.
Yep. Okay. How would you like for Tommy to be?
What's your midpoint?
Yeah, but also he will be immortalized because he'll be on screen doing it. So somebody's gonna be taking some receipts, and then a year from now they're gonna come back up in the best way possible.
All right. Putting Chicago in the rearview mirror. You get a goalless draw. Atlanta United, I think, in the month of April. That was last month. April, I think, was number 1 in the league in XG. Bottom line against Chicago, you just didn't finish your chances, and combine that with Chris Brady standing on his head and still not getting credit for all the saves that he made. At least one was left off the board because of an AR that I don't know. But anyway, separate issue. But once again, they led in XG in April, didn't put it in the back of the net. Chris Brady stood on his head. You end up with a goalless draw, and you've got to put that in the rearview mirror with Minnesota United coming to town.
Number 1 at XG, and then I don't think, and I have to look at the calendar, but I don't think you had a single win in April, which is crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's the other. And I said this match in a bubble would have been a pretty good result. because you went on the road, you got a result, you got a point, but it's just coming off of 2 really bad matches at home.
Yeah.
It's a really tough pill to swallow. So,
well, bad
bad
results at home. I wouldn't necessarily say bad matches. I think that you had bad moments that
is true.
Results.
Yes. Because you expect to win. You expect to win at home. At minimum draw, which you didn't even do against Cincinnati. So, yeah, you got to turn everything around. You got to forget this whole month ever happened. Yeah. And you do have good to take from it. You really do. The defense has been phenomenal, actually. Phenomenal. Considering you're using, your 4th and 5th guys in this past match, like you did really well. The attack is creating chances. They just didn't finish them the way that they should have. So there's good to take from it, but now you've got to refine some things, fix it, and just have a completely different May. It just feels like a lost opportunity because April was objectively easier. I don't want to say easy, but easier.
Yeah. All right. Hit the plug, hit everything, Scarves and Spikes. And the prelude to the clean-shaven Tommy. When should we anticipate all of this? And when will Kendra D. St. Aubin, who probably should be promoted in all caps as her former broadcast partner, Callum.
Yes.
As Callum would always say, it's all one word. It's Kendra D. St. Aubin. It's all one word. There's no breath allowed when it comes to discussing Kendra. But you're going to have Kendra on the show, and so hit the promo for me, sir.
Yeah, we'll be live tonight at 7:00 for our normal show. We'll be chatting everything with the Chicago match, but especially Minnesota. We'll be talking about facial hair and the finer aspects of it. And
as the man who's got the full run,
yeah, I'm not getting rid of mine unless we win MLS Cup, maybe. But then my wife is going to be texting me. My wife's going to be texting me in about a minute saying, "Nope, I'm vetoing it. Stop talking about it."
Really?
I mean, if it meant that we won MLS Cup, there's a conversation to be had.
That is a better half that believes in a non-shaven face. Wow. Okay.
So yeah. So
she digs the beard and the stash. All right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
just checking.
But yeah, 7:00, 7:30 is when Kendra De St. Aubin will be on with us, and Tommy will be pretty much shaving the entire time.
Yes, like I said, you better give Kendra a heads up and let her know what's going on so she can not be completely and totally wigged out by the entire process.
Yep.
Tyler, my friend, great to see you. We will see you. I will see you Saturday, and we will check and see if the Carvel machine is fully functioning, and we'll rock and roll from there. As always, my friend, great to have you on at 9:15 on Wall Pass Wednesdays, where we talk infrastructure and Switzerland and shiplap and all these kinds of things. It's always great to have you on, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
See y'all.